Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about improvising. Okay, I got a lot of questions about this, so I figured I'd tackle it in the simplest way possible. We're just going to take one idea and expand on that as much as possible, all right? So this is the idea. We're going to take paradiddle diddle and paradiddle, all right? It sounds like this. So if you notice, that's changing hands. Paradiddle diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle. Okay? Like that. All right. So the first thing to do is to, for example, you can put it on the toms, right? This is from my book, Paradiddles and the Magic Sticking, by the way. You can buy it here on my website, online store. And of course, you can move it around the kit, but what's the most interesting part about it is improvising with it. So the next step would be to put it on the ride cymbal with a bass drum, okay? So wherever the accents are on the right hand, you're gonna put a bass drum on there. So it's gonna sound like this. Now, if you just keep doing that, it sounds fine, but you want to loop it, okay? So if you loop it, if you want to loop it, you put a 5-stroke roll at the end of the phrase. So it's just like this. Right? And the accent becomes the 1 of the next phrase. So like this. Okay, so on the bass drum and ride, it's going to sound like this. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to loop that around so you can hear it. So if you want to put it in time, you have to use basic improv concepts, which is diminution, augmentation, things of this nature. So I'm going to extend the phrase by simply doing 2 paradiddle diddles, for example, and 1 paradiddle. So stuff like that. You know, you can just extend it in any way you want, and it's going to give it a different dimension. Now, the thing is to put it in time, right? To make it go in time, you need to have a strong sense of rhythm. And that's a whole other topic, okay? But in this case, I just want to show you this idea, how you can use it to improvise by simply expanding the 2 parts. All right, so this is what it's going to sound like in an improvisational type of setting. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, as you can see, it sounds really nice and fast and beefy. So if you put it on the ride cymbal, it's really nice to keep the hi-hat in, you know, on the 1/8 notes or quarter notes, whatever you want. So it gives maybe the listener a sense of time. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? Those are basic improv concepts you can use with rudiments. Now, of course, you can expand this in any way you want on the kit. That sounds really nice. In order to get to that point where you can improvise with it, of course, you have to take one step at a time. Try 2 paradiddle diddles and 1 paradiddle, or 1 and 2 paradiddles, every combination that you can think of. And then what I like to do is add additional bass drums to that thing. So if I'm doing a diminution of the phrase, for example, this, you can see I'm putting 2 bass drums whenever I have the right hand. Right? Wherever the double stroke of the paradiddle is, I put 2 bass drums. So we get this type of effect. Right? That's another variation you can do. Think of any variations you can think of, you can do. Now, the issue is putting it in time and making it sound tasteful. Okay? That's where improv concepts take you to the next level. And of course, you have things like call and answer, you have memory exercises, things like that to help you get more in touch with improvisation. And that's something that's very important. Like themes is another thing that's very important, working with themes so that you can improvise around these themes, right? For example, let's take that as a theme, okay? So you can see there what I did is I put it in a groove context. I made the groove sound like the phrase, so like quoting the phrase, and then used the phrase again in different positions to round out what I was trying to do. These types of things take a long time, but it's totally worth it if you want to be a player that can improvise. Okay, and I mean, for jazz, for any type of fusion, for any music that's really kind of high level musicianship, it's an absolute necessary skill. Another thing I like to do with themes is just keep quoting the theme in different parts of the whatever you're playing. If you're doing a solo or whatever, trading fours, trading eights. Improvising over a vamp, or hits, ensemble figures. So this is the kind of a thing I do a lot, like melodies with the toms, for example. Right? I mean, those are pretty common things to do, playing with the melodies. So now we're going to use that, and we're going to do our theme, the paradiddle thing, and see how you can intermix those things, okay? So, one, two. Now you have something to base your improvisation off of. Of course, you know, a theme is only a small part of your improvisational skills. Rhythm should be the biggest focus of your ability, of your skills. Rhythm, 3 bar cycle, groups of 5, groups of 7 and 9, 11, whatever. Just in the 3 bar cycle alone, you have such an infinity of choices to make, that you can never run out of ideas. So when you're improvising, you always have to remember what you played. That is one of the big things, I think, that tends to be a challenge for beginning guys, is that they play something and they 30 seconds later they just forget what they played in the beginning of their solo, right? Or whatever improvisation you happen to be doing. It's really important to not lose track of the thread. It's like a thought. If you're trying to talk to someone, you're having a conversation, the thread of the conversation has to be there, or else you're changing the subject every 2 seconds. It's impossible to talk that way, right? So I hope these tips helped you, and it's something very beautiful to play like this. So I'm just going to play a little more for you and see if you can hear the concepts that we're talking about, okay? Just like a normal funk thing, so everybody can kind of relate to it. Okay. We could go on and on with ideas like that if you have a basis to build your improvisation off of. Of course, rhythmic knowledge is very, very important. And like that. So if you have any questions, if you like this type of material, I will do more on improvisation for you. And like that. The lesson site is waiting for you. Remember, $300 gets you into the full year program with support, video support, email support, and we have the Elite program going on. I'm going to attach a video here about the Elite program. And of course, I'm doing hand consultations, and that's $100 for an hour, hand consultations. So I hope to hear from you, and thanks for watching. See you soon. Hi folks, it's Phil Maturano. I'm here to tell you about my new rhythm course. This course is meant for all musicians. It's going to give you a series of exercises using your body to absorb rhythmic cycles. Rhythmic cycles and the melodies of rhythmic cycles are the keys to your understanding about rhythm in a profound way. In a way that you're going to be able to apply it into music in a very practical and creative way. There's never been a study like this before, and I think you're going to be very happy once you get into it. There are 4 major rhythmic cycles that are essential in Western music. Do you know what they are? If not, it's time to come over and join us. Join us on my lesson site where it's all taking place. See you there.